Learning outcomes. After studying this module, you shall be able to know about the different theoretical approaches to understanding career counseling, learn the difference in these approaches, evaluate the application of each approach, and analyze the appropriate usage of each approach. Introduction. Often people dissatisfied with their work situation or unable to adjust in their work environment need what is called is career adjustment counseling. Although this form of counseling frequently uses the same strategies as those of personal counseling, there are specific strategies employed to address the specific issues of career awareness, selection, training and adjustment. An approach to career counseling has been defined by Kreitz in 1969 as a relatively well-articulated model and method of assisting individuals in making decisions about their lifelong roles in the world of work and in solving problems which arise in the course of their choice process. When Kreitz attempted an overview of the major approaches to career counseling, he found 5 that were relatively well articulated. He began with an historical investigation and concluded that vocational guidance rather than counseling predominated during the 1930s and 40s, with trait and factor counseling being the counseling theory of choice. In the late 1940s, client-centered counseling was applied to career decision making. A decade later came the contributions from the psychoanalytic framework. At about the same time, Donald Super proposed a developmental framework. Finally, Kreitz noted that the application of behavioral principles to career information seeking and decision making in the 1950s. Thus, he concluded that historically there are 5 approaches. Later, Kreitz articulated his own synthetic approach to career counseling. Career development theories attempt to explain why people have careers. They also attempt to explain the adjustment that people make with regard to their careers and work situations. There are several theories, old as well as modern, that try to explain the basis for career choices. The theories discussed here are conspicuous and widely used in the field of career counseling.
Trait factor approach. It was developed by 2 vocational theorists, Frank Parsons and E.G. Williamson, and is one of the oldest theories of vocational choice. This approach relied more on psychometric measures. This theory implies that there is an ideal job for everyone. In this theory, 2 concepts are important. First one is trait, which means individual characteristics and attributes. Second one is factor, which indicates that there are some factors which are needed to perform well. Hence, the first step is to assess the client and then systematically match with factors inherent in the various occupations. A good match between individuals' traits and the necessary occupational factors will produce a good career choice. Based on these 2 assumptions, this approach tries to identify and quantify the traits that characterize an individual and match this person with occupations that would draw from his or her unique profile of traits. This approach describes career decision making to be a simple process of matching personal characteristics with job requirements. Accordingly, the closer this match, the greater the likelihood of optimal productivity and personal satisfaction. This theory stresses the interpersonal nature of careers and associated lifestyles, as well as the performance requirements of a work position. There are advantages of this theory, such as it makes sense and is easy to understand. It fits well with other theories of career choice. This theory has resurfaced in the most modern times. It is best reflected in the works of researchers like John Holland in 1997. However, this theory has also been criticized, as the original advocates of this theory were of the opinion that an individual's traits and abilities can be easily measured objectively. Factors like motivation were considered to be stable over a period of time. It also does not account for changes in the individual over time. It also downplays the role of counseling. According to this theory, career decision making is a rational process of problem solving which is based on the systematic collection of information, the verification of this information, and finally using this information to make a career decision. This was the approach which dominated career counseling in the West from the early 1900s to around 1940s. Holland's typological theory. This is based on John Holland's theory of vocational choice. It is the modern form of the trait and factor theory. This theory stresses the interpersonal nature of careers and associated lifestyles, as well as the various requirements of the work situation. At its simplest, this theory proposes that birds of the same feather flock together. In other words, people like to be around others who have similar personalities. In choosing a career, it means that people choose jobs where they can be around other people who are like them. It is the best known and most widely researched theory on this topic. It is used by many career counselors. This theory has three propositions. Firstly, it is possible, according to Holland, to classify people and environments into types. Type, by definition, is a conglomeration of traits which can serve as a measure for categorizing people into groups. This theory stresses the interpersonal nature of careers and associated lifestyles, as well as the performance requirements of a work position. In Holland's formulation, there are 6 types of people and work environments. There are the realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional RIASEC. Secondly, Holland indicates that when making career decisions, people are inclined to see work environments that will allow them to implement their personality characteristics. A realistic type is likely to be most comfortable in a work environment that carries the characteristics of the realistic type and will search for such careers. Occupational choice is the result of attempts to achieve congruence between interests and environments, and this congruence results in job satisfaction and career stability. This congruence between personality type, work environment, and social class was considered to be the most important aspect of job satisfaction. When the personality characteristics of the individual are matched with the compatible work environment, it results in job satisfaction. The third proposition made by Holland is that patterns of behavior result from the interactions between personality type and environments. For example, an artistic type of person would avoid work environment characterized by routine, repetitive, and suppression of creativity. This person would instead be drawn closer to work situations that promote individuality and originality. Holland's main proposition that individuals choose occupations that are congruent with their interests has generally been supported by research by Spokane in 1985. However, Holland's assertion that congruence results in satisfaction and stability has found less support by Tinsley in 2000, Tranberg, Slane and Ekberg in 1993. Holland's theory is based on the interaction between a person and his or her environment, has been called the person-environment PF interaction model. According to Holland's typological theory, career choice behavior is the result of a dynamic, reciprocal interaction between personality types and work environments. People who belong to a career create an interpersonal environment which is an extension of their personality traits. Career choice behavior is the conglomeration of activities that lead people toward work environments into which they are able to comfortably fit. This aspect of Holland's theory clearly states that individuals will choose careers that will reflect their personality types and avoid those that don't. Keeping this in mind, he suggested certain occupations that will fit the specific personality types. Methods for career counseling. One of the most important outcomes of Holland's typological theory of career choice is the development of concrete systems and methods for career counseling. He has developed and standardized a variety of tests and counseling systems that can be readily applied in counseling interaction. Some of the most popular devices constructed by him are Vocational Preference Inventory, that is VPI, the Self-Directed Search, SDS, My Vocational Situation, MVS, and the Vocational Exploration and Insight Kit, VEIK. These devices help the individual to identify his or her personality type. Hence, the Holland model may be described as an extension of the trait approach to career counseling. The greatest offering made by the Holland model is its contribution to the practice of counseling. The model is not merely an exercise in theorizing about career development behavior, but is driven by the importance of translating theory into practice. Developmental theories. Two widely known developmental theories are those given by Donald Stupper and by Ellie Ginsberg. Both these theories are based on personal development with emphasis on the fact that career choices are not merely an outcome of decisions during adolescence or young adulthood. The original development theory was proposed by Ginsberg and Associates and had considerable influence. However, Super felt that Ginsberg theory had certain limitations which he wanted to work upon. Super extended Ginsberg's life and career development stages from 3 to 5 and included different substages. He has done extensive work and his theory has overshadowed all other theories of career counseling. Hence, his theory will be discussed here in some detail. Donald Super emphasizes the importance of self-concept. It is a person's self-concept which is all important in determining the vocational development, and it is an ongoing process. He refers to successive stages within which this development occurs and what vocation an individual selects. It is the individual's expression of his interests and abilities at a particular time. Super argues that occupational preferences and competencies, along with an individual's life situations, change with time and experience. Super developed the concept of vocational maturity, which may or may not correspond to the chronological age. People go through each of these stages when they go through career transitions. According to Super, the pattern of vocational development goes through the exploratory stage, then establishment stage, after this the maintenance stage, and finally the decline stage. Each of these stages has specific tasks to be performed. Lifespan and life space. An important development in Super's later writings in 1980 is the view that work is embedded within other life roles. He emphasizes the importance of lifespan in career decision making. According to him, career decisions are influenced by other processes and events in an individual's life. Super in 1980 presents his life career rainbow that incorporates lifespan and life space dimensions. The lifespan dimension is linked to the developmental stages in the individual's life. Life space is related to the multiple contexts and roles that characterize an individual's life. Lifespan and life space factors describe the individual's current status of career development and forecast the future career trajectory of that individual. The passage through the stages of career development and forecast the future career development from growth to exploration and then to establishment and maintenance are described as maxi cycles. Career development is a lifelong process of making several decisions characterized by a recycling through the stages of growth, re-exploration and re-establishment. In a nutshell, the developmental approach indicates that every individual faces a set of career developmental tasks. These tasks are specific to a particular stage of development. This life pattern paradigm of career counseling encourages counselors to consider a client's aptitudes and interests in a matrix of life experiences, not just in comparison to some normative group, by Savikas in 1989. Although this theory has been criticized for its descriptive and historical emphasis, these features, along with the conceptual depth of the theory, have also been considered its strength. This theory has a number of applications. It has been used as a framework for career development programs for children and adolescents. The comprehensive rainbow theory and its concept of career requirements at all stages continue to hold interest and is the source of other research. Finally, the theory has been an important source toward understanding the concept of career maturity. Social cognitive career theory. This theory was first published in 1994 and had a tremendous impact on research regarding career choice. It emerges from the initial work of Albert Bandura in 1986 and his emphasis on the triadic reciprocal model of causality, which assumes that personal attributes, the environment, and overt behavior operate with each other in an interlocking bidirectional way. This theory explores how career and academic interests mature, how career choices are developed, and how these choices are turned into action. This is achieved through a focus of three primary tenets: self-efficacy, outcome expectations, and goals by Lent et al. In 1994. The most important part of this triad is self-efficacy, that is, a person's beliefs regarding her or his ability to successfully perform a particular task. Individuals develop their sense of self-efficacy from personal performance, learning by example, social interactions, and how they feel in a situation. The central propositions of SCCT are: first, the interaction between people and their environments is highly dynamic. Second, career-related behavior is influenced by four aspects of the person: behavior, self-efficacy, outcome expectations, and goals, in addition to genetically determined characteristics. Third, self-efficacy, beliefs, and expectations of outcomes interact directly to influence interest development. Fourth, factors such as gender, race, physical health, disabilities, and environmental variables influence the self-efficacy development. Fifth, actual career choice and implementation are influenced by a number of direct and indirect variables other than the self-efficacy, expectations, and goals. Sixth, all things being equal, people with the highest levels of ability and the strongest self-efficacy beliefs perform at the highest level. This theory can be applied in various settings. Overall, SCCT based interventions can be used with diverse groups. One of its additional strengths is that it deals with both intra-individual and contextual variables involved in the process of career development. Crumbolts in 1979 and 1996 has formulated an equally comprehensive but less developmental social cognitive approach to career development. According to him, there are four factors that influence a person's career choice. First, genetic endowment. Second, conditions and events in the environment. Third, learning experiences. Fourth, task approach skills. Crumbolt's outlines a dynamic approach to career counseling that can be applied to males and females as well as to racial and ethnic minorities who have individualistic approach. The strength of his theory lies in the fact that it views people as having some control over events that they find reinforcing. As the individual and the world around changes, the person can learn to take advantage of learning opportunities and make career choices or changes accordingly. He therefore outlines a dynamic approach to career counseling, a requirement in modern times. Other persons have also used this theoretical approach in more recent times and found it to be quite effective with different populations. Gibbons in 2004 examines how school and career counselors can assist prospective first generation college students prior to college entrance through the use of social cognitive career theory SCCT. In SCCT, career interests are regulated by self-efficacy and an outcome expectation, which means people will form lasting interest in activities when they experience personal competency and positive outcomes. On the other hand, a belief of low personal competency will lead people to avoid activities.
Summary. In an attempt to overview the major approaches to career counseling, Kreitz found 5 that were relatively well articulated. In the 1940s, trait and factor counseling was a theory of choice, followed by the client-centered approach and the psychoanalytic framework. Around 1957, Donald Super's developmental approach gained popularity. Besides these, 2 other approaches to understand career counseling are Holland's typological theory and social cognitive career theory. The trait factor theory is the oldest approach. It talks of an ideal job for each person. A good career choice is based on the good match between the individual's characteristics or traits and factors inherent in the occupation. Holland formulated the Rysek model. According to him, career counseling should be based on bringing about congruence between the individual's interests and the work environment. This model has also been referred to as the person-environment interaction model. 2 widely known developmental theories are given by Donald Super and Ginsberg. Both these theories emphasize that career choices are not merely an outcome of decisions during adolescence or young adulthood. According to Super, career decisions are influenced by other processes and events in an individual's life and can change over time. Social cognitive career theory was first published in 1994 and is a relatively recent theory. This is based on Albert Bandura's theory. The emphasis is on triadic reciprocal model of causality consisting of personal attributes, environment and overt behavior. The most important aspect of this triad is self-efficacy. Each of these theories has its own application. It is important to remember that no one approach is applicable to all persons.